the rural locations can be a challenge.
Very often we've had tight accesses, unsuitable for lorries. Areas like this, we've had to put roadways of trackway in to get excavators across very unstable, marshy ground.
When you're working in heavy construction on the land, it's hard enough. But if you're now trying to do that near water, it adds a whole element of risk because you've got wet, muddy conditions, slips, drowning is obviously a big factor, and you're using heavy equipment on ground that isn't actually particularly stable. So the project actually had to use simple but effective measures to load bear for the plants and machinery. We were very keen that they worked safely, as well as our own guys who were often working with them on various, we doubled up on some of the projects. We don't test fate, but we've had no serious accidents during the project, either with the contractors or with our own staff. So it's been, from that point of view, highly successful. But we've also developed our technique, so we've learned a lot. You're talking about mounting large cranes and excavators onto floating devices. You have to go through stability calculations, you have to go through a whole new set of health and safety, which we hadn't fully appreciated at the time, 10 years ago. But since the project's been in place, our health and safety has vastly improved and our processes have improved.
We've had a very strong safety culture here, especially when we were running full bore a few years ago. We always had safety committee meetings, so we had a mixture of staff and operatives in a room discussing safety issues. They would bring up anything they felt needed improvement. Obviously, as part of the Health and Safety Work Act, providing welfare for workers is a legal requirement, and that's been quite difficult and challenging on this job at times. And we've used generally something called a groundhog welfare unit, which is like a little mini container that can be towed behind a 4x4 vehicle, and that has a little toilet and a generator room, a small welfare area and a little bit of storage. So they've been ideal for this project. We've managed to tow them as close as we can to the works area. Yeah, early on in the project we even bought a retired Broads cruiser and had it adapted to suit as a welfare unit, and that was very useful to get to some of the remote sites prior to the main improvement works coming through. So the maintenance crew would use it, and you could actually, pre-COVID, you could have a team of 8 on that, and it had a toilet somewhere they could heat food and a cooker, etc. So it was a great little, I sat on there and had fish and chips myself once. It was a very useful little boat.
The service that Bessel provide for us, which Jacobs are a part, includes incident response, and what that means is that when we get forecasts of high water, we have various structures that need to be, various gates that need closing and structures that need to be checked. And Jacobs and BAM Nuttall, have provided that service for us from the start of the project, and that's gone very well. We've had some major events. Back in 2013, we had water levels that were higher than 1953, which is a sort of baseline, I think, against which all sort of flood events in the east of England are sort of measured, and they've mobilised very quickly to get people on the ground, checking defences and responding when problems were found.